So now we have one of my personal favorites, best original track. This is a single track on the game soundtrack that we either think is the best or has a specific meaning or is just the best original track on whatever the soundtrack is.
Yep.
So
And it's a song
I'm going
specifically
that
made, song specifically made for the game. We should also say it's not
Yes.
not like
a cover or anything.
well, no,
that's
covers are debatable, but it's more a case of like it's not pulled from. It's not just included in. It's not another song that has been pulled into the game. It is written for this game.
It's not a song from another album or whatever it is. Yeah,
exactly.
So we have I'm Going That Way by Kentucky Route Zero, or in Kentucky Route Zero, I should say. 5 p.m. from Animal Crossing New Horizons. Out of Tartarus by Hades. Headlights on the Shore by Paradise Killer. Soul Swap from Other Side. God of the Dead stroke The Unseen Ones from Hades. The Rain, formerly known as Purple, from Risk of Rain 2. Deepstone Lullaby from the Deepstone Crypt Raid from Destiny 2 Beyond Light. In the Blood from Hades, and the Leamington Bop from Paradise Killer.
Yeah.
So I'm Going That Way. We had the discussion about I'm Going That Way.
Yeah, this is slightly complicated because it's kind of hard to pin down where this comes from. But as far as we can tell, the version in KRZ is significantly different from the other versions we think exist, where the other versions are very much more traditional country songs, very upbeat. But I'm Going That Way is the song that plays near the final moments of Act 5 of Kentucky Route Zero, and this almost made it into best moment, but it's almost more the music is more important actually than the actual moment, where there are one of the problems I have with KRC is that there are a billion different interpretations of what's actually happening here, but if you take it very straight, the ending, or this particular moment, is this is a town that has built itself back up from devastation and is like the last hope for a bunch of these people that are there, and they just want to live out the rest of their lives in peace. And there are 2 horses that they have in this town that have helped build the town, and both have passed away. It's unclear as to why, but basically both have passed away now. And they're such an integral part of the town and the story of the town that they're holding a funeral for the horses, where they're literally in the pit in front of it, and a character from the town starts singing this song. It's solo vocals, no instrumental at all. Starts singing this country song in a very kind of, God, how would you even describe the style?
It's almost gospel.
Like it's almost gospel, but very.
It feels religious, but it's like it's just a solo piece. Like that's all it is.
But the part that makes it interesting, and is also part of the song as well, as the song goes on, the ghosts of the people the people of that town have lost start to phase in and attend this funeral. And as this is happening, more voices join the choir as it goes, to the point where the end of it is just this huge, it feels like there are more people than there actually are, but it feels like this entire town coming together to sing the song. It's an absolutely beautiful rendition of the song, and it's a super powerful moment for a game that struggled to have powerful moments for me. But this bit specifically, just because it was very not relatable is the wrong word, very understandable about the emotion of the scene, and it means so much obviously to these people. And just like Ben Babbitt doing a fantastic job with the entire soundtrack for this thing.
Yeah.
The fact that one of my favourite songs from this entire game has 0 instruments, is just a choir.
Yeah. It's just a solo piece.
Super cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
5 p.m. from Animal Crossing New Horizons is just a real good
track.
jam.
It's just a great track.
It's just a great track.
Real good use of...
it was also the song that like a lot of people heard the most of, because like 5 p.m. was when people would like either like get like off work and log in, or like do a whole bunch. Like a lot of that game was spent with that music in the background.
Yep.
But it is just like, it's got this like amazing slow drum beat, this great solo jazzy guitar that then gets this synth built on top of it. It's just a great track. Like it's a really, every Animal Crossing's got the 1 hour track that everybody points to that is like, this is the one.
Yeah.
And that's the one for Animal Crossing New Horizons.
For sure.
Yeah, it's 5 p.m.
Out of
Tartarus from Hades.
That's the song from the first area, Tartarus, funnily enough. It's so good, and was really the fact that that's the first track introduces you to not only the idea that like, hey, this game's going to go some places, because it doesn't sound like any of the other soundtracks that Supergiant have done, it's in a bizarre time signature that keeps changing. It's got instrumentation that is both very traditional with a synth line underneath it. It's stripped back but then kicks in for boss fights.
Yeah,
It's
so
just
they bring back the traditional instruments for the boss fight where they get the heavy guitars and stuff like that out. It's a great track.
it's just spectacular. It really is. It's some of the
Yeah.
best work that Darren Korb's done.
Darren Korb.
It really is.
This whole soundtrack has been, but yeah, that's...
Yeah. Highlights in the Shore is from Paradise Killer. It's great. There's not even like a moment here because again you can collect the songs from the soundtrack in any order. But like it was basically one of my favorites here. It's a very kind of chill track.
It's it's your chill beat synth line like it is.
But also 4 minutes into a 5 minute track, it starts with this just like 80s guitar solo that just goes
really heavy reverb. Like it's a really cool guitar line. Soul Swap from Other Side is fucking garbage.
It's not gonna win, but like
I
have heard multiple people now describe this game as like a turn-based Evanescence album, and this is the track that really does encapsulate a lot of that.
It's every bit of music that I fucking hated in high school. Like it is that.
It was the point where it was the one where we diverged in musical tastes. Where like I was very much into that shit. And I'm trying to remember the name of the other track in there, which I can't quite remember. But between this and the first track, which is called Sacrifice, both of them do this style super well. And I don't know, it just encapsulates that game for me. I know it's not going to win. I just needed to say that like I appreciate that soundtrack is not for everyone, but in that situation, it's real good for me. Got a Dead Unseen Ones. That's the EM4 track we talked about earlier.
That's the boss fight with Hades with the added Extreme Measure 4 break into it, where it's an incredibly built track. Where it is the first phase is first of all it starts with the line that you hear at the beginning of the game, and the first thing you hear when you hit the menu is that line that they use as like the theme of Hades, not just the game, the character. They do that and they build on it in a really small way until it gets to phase 2. Kind of like in Out of Tartarus, when it hits phase 2, they bring out the big instruments where you get your overdriven guitars, your big drums, like all that stuff that builds into this like amazing boss fight music that has like 3 or 4 different parts in it. There's like this weird bridge moment that pulls everything back and puts everything on a backbeat that really swaps up how the song sounds. It really like shakes things up. And then when you get to EM4 and that third phase happens and it kicks in with the
dueling guitars,
dueling guitar solos that happen that are from, I should actually probably say they're from Masahiro Aoki and Daisuke Kurosawa, who Masahiro Aoki is the lead composer of Street Fighter V.
Oh, interesting.
Daisuke Kurosawa was a guy that worked for Konami for a really long time doing music for like Guitar Beat and like Beatmania and stuff like that. So getting those two together and giving them like metal guitars and just saying have a fucking battle it was unreal. Like the impact that has on the EM3, not just from like EM3 mechanically already kicks you in the face, but that song when those guitars hit is a real like punch to the player of being like, no, this is real, like this is now, like this is the moment.
And again, calls on to what's happening, where it's this final battle between these two people.
The real like desperate final stand between these two. You've got the two dueling guitars that are like you're mirroring Zagreus and his dad fighting. It's brilliant. It's such a well put together bit of music, and it's like 13 minutes long. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Rain Formerly Known as Purple from Risk of Rain 2 kind of encapsulates that whole soundtrack to me, where it is this really chill beats sort of vibe. Lo-fi. It's got a lot of like really lo-fi. Lo-fi is a good way to put it, of like really chill synth lines and drum beats and stuff like that. And it's like an 8-minute track, and then like 4 minutes in they get this really chill guitar solo that lasts the entire rest of the track. So the guitarist just gets to go for like 4 minutes, and it's really impressive, and it's a really cool track, and it kind of shows what that soundtrack is all about. But yeah, it's a really, really cool track. Deep Stone Lullaby, really orchestral, like super orchestral music. The moment for when you go out into space on the Morningstar station and Clovis Bray goes insane at you. Amazing sort of like you. I can't remember how you described it. You described it as very.
It sounded like Outer Wilds, the
Outer
space
Wilds, yeah.
theme from Outer Wilds, where it's very bare bones at the start, and
but builds into this kind of big sweeping orchestral piece with a lot of like violins, and it's very, very impressive. It's very strange in that sort of environment as well to hear that sort of piece,
and not a lot like a lot of the other music from Destiny as well, which is
no,
cool.
it's very unique. In the Blood, music that plays when Persephone and Zagreus finally go back to the House of Hades. Really cool, uses the theme of Hades kind of motif in there as a vocal line that Darren and Ashley Barrett both use. It doesn't sound like it is not a conclusion song, if that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't naturally come to an end like you'd expect a credit song to.
Yeah.
But that's kind of mirroring how the game works, where when you get back, you're not actually done. There is always more to do.
Yep.
Excellent track, really amazing vocal performances as always by Darren Korb and Ashley Barrett. Brilliant song. And then Leamington Bop from Paradise Killer. It's in the name. It's a real bop. It's fucking 90s wet drum lines with this modulated synth bass that is... It's just brilliant. It's such a good track, and you don't hear people make music like that. It's
very.
Like, I read the only draw that I could go in is that Bruno Mars track that you put out with Cardi B, where it is very 90s and is trying to hit that line exactly, and it's great. It's such a good track.
Especially with other parts of that game, it feels like the most Persona part of that game. Like you could see that being in like a P3, P4 soundtrack. It's cool.
I love a synth bass with the bending in it. It's brilliant. It's just such a good sound.
Also, very briefly mention, it doesn't make the list because it is a cover, but the version of Time Moves Slow from the end of the quote unquote campaign for Dreams.
Yeah, the storyline.
The storyline is super cool. It's a really good version of that song.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, I've listened to that cover. That song's so good.
It doesn't qualify because it's a cover, more traditional cover, but yeah, it's cool. Okay, I feel kind of strongly about I'm Going That Way. I would like that to be there.
I'm fine with that. That's fine. Yeah.
It's also Out of Tartarus for me. I think it's just like it's.
If it depends on how you feel about having two things from the same game, because Out of Tartarus and the God of the Dead Unseen One to me are because that God of the Dead and the Unseen Ones as a pairing is like one of the best boss themes I think I've ever seen in a video game.
The problem is that it's remember, this is just like God. No, I suppose it is use as well.
Yeah, it's the use of it is also very good. Like for original track, I don't know how much you want to talk about use because this is just
But the problem is that
this one track. But
it's also a great track, but also for me, it was I'm Going That Way was very much tied into that moment. So I can see what you mean by Unseen Ones being there. I'm trying to think if I would fight for anything else because, like, I really like the two Paradise Killer tracks, but like that soundtrack almost works more as a whole than individual tracks.
It works as an album than it does. Yeah,
totally. Okay, I could go with those two Hades tracks. I could see.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I could see that is. Man, if we're gonna have to agree on one, it's probably Tartarus. I think.
Yeah, I think the other two are
they're individual moments.
Personal because like we've not experienced the one that the other one brought,
Yes,
but I think
exactly.
Out of Tartarus as a total for the two of us
Totally.
makes a lot of sense because that track is unreal good.
So
yeah.
good. It's so good. Oh, it's amazing. So yeah, that's Out of Tartarus from Hades is the best original track with I'm Going That Way from Kentucky Route Zero and God of the Dead / Unseen Ones from Hades.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.